COVID came out in March of 2020. Where were you in your timeline of children? Did you have two by then? Was it one? What was it?
I got too many kids. That's what you're telling me.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm trying. Okay. All right. The reason why I asked them, because I know if it was prior to COVID, they're not going to have those conversations with you. And I was wondering if you saw a shift that when you were maybe like your last two pregnant, that's why I wanted to be more formal, but when you were pregnant during that time, did anyone ever come to you and was like, are you going to get the COVID vaccine? Or maybe like made you feel bad if you decided not to? What was the experience like?
So 2020, I had two kids at the time. My second was a baby, so I didn't have those questions while I was pregnant with him. However, with my third, it was a home birth, so it was more so, what I chose, the people who I wanted to be there. I didn't have any issues. Even with my fourth, it was kind of even further from COVID, so those conversations weren't so mandatory. However, outside of the space of parenting, just in the world, I felt very judged and victimized if anyone knew that I didn't have the vaccine. So for a while, I would not touch that conversation. I would not speak about it because it's like if people were here, you're not vaccinated, it's like you almost are ostracized. So for a while, I just left that conversation alone. If someone brought it up, I was very just, nodding my head, and letting them finish. But what about you? What was your experience like?
I do remember when I was pregnant, a lot of medical providers and anybody that I would talk to, they definitely felt the need to emphasize that it is safe for you to have while you're pregnant. How do they know that? You know what I'm saying? Like, where's the research? But they would definitely say, no, it's not harmful. You and your child will be okay. And I remember just thinking, like, how do you know? Until this day, I'm still like, how do you know? So for me, I would just probably very similar, just nod my head and just be like, yeah, okay. And then just let the days go by. And then the baby's here. And then, just pacify the conversation, because I knew that I did not. My husband did it, but I knew that I did not want to get the vaccination while I was pregnant. And maybe I did share it with him. I knew that I wanted to wait till after. But yeah, medical providers everywhere, doctors everywhere. And it'll be their first question. Did you get vaccinated? Did you get vaccinated? And then I'll say no. And then their response is always, it's not harmful. Everybody is good. You should go get it. And I'll just say, okay, and kind of keep it moving. I just felt like there just was not enough evidence in the beginning. And I know that we wanted a cure and we wanted a quick fix. I just needed to see some form of results before I could make any important decisions like that. Like, honestly, you're putting something in your body, I do believe that certain vaccinations are important, but I feel like I need to have at least some form of understanding of what the importance are. And I also need to see some data of people that have gone through the process as well before I am convinced. So that's probably why I waited. And I was convinced. So, yeah. But I totally get the whole just in the, being looked at like a villain because you chose not to. Like, how dare you not do this? And how dare you expose everyone? Like, no, it's not like that. It's like, it's my body and I do what I want. And it's not like I'm out here picking up COVID and throwing it down somebody's throat or just choosing not to do it.
Exactly.
But I totally get that.
Yeah, and I think in the media, there was a commercial, which I'm drawing blank, but it was almost pushing it like you get vaccinated to help your neighbor, to help the fellow man. So I think that's why if you did choose not to get vaccinated, it's like, oh, well, you're the problem. However, I'm just like, well, how, why is what I do with my body affecting you?
And I could definitely agree that in having this conversation with you, there probably was some form of peer pressure in my decision. Exactly, because I didn't want to be that person. I didn't want to be the person that was harming the community. I didn't want to be the person that was going against the grain. People could think what they want about that, but I never really looked at it like that until this conversation that, yeah, there probably was some form of pressure. But to me, I still felt like I did it on my own time, but my own time probably was affected by the peer pressure. Something I got to think about after, because I'm not sure. I never even realized that, like, those advertising and those conversations and those, they probably were a big part of it. Who knows what would have happened if those factors didn't exist, but they did. And here I am. I would love to hear, like, where do you get your strength from in making this decision, right? And why is this decision so important to you? If you had someone else that was on the fence, like, how would you have this conversation about, how to find that strength within themselves as well?
That's a great question, Kashieka. And I honestly, I don't know where you find the strength, but it must be from God. I'm going to just say it's from God, a source within. You have to stand on what you believe in, you know? And like you said, was a lot of peer pressure going on. You can't really let that dictate your decision, because at the end of the day, nobody has to live with your decision but you. And that's why it was so important for me to stand on what I believed in. Because even if I did go out and choose to get a vaccination, which around the time when my father-in-law did die, that was a conversation of like, yeah, we got to get vaccinated. The kids got to get vaccinated. But had I gone ahead and did that, I can't blame anybody for that decision. Like, it has to come from me. So I would say find that strength within yourself. Do as much research as possible, not just for the stance of, why you should get it, but also why you shouldn't get it. Like, do research both sides. I think a lot of times, whatever you're looking for on the internet, you can find it. So if you're looking for the pros of the COVID vaccine, you can find it. If you're looking for the risk factors of the COVID vaccine, you can find it. So do your research. That's what I would really tell somebody. But what about you, Kashieka? Like, why is it so important to have that voice for yourself when you decide if you're going to get the vaccine or not?
I like what you said as far as in, like, you have to live with the decision that you make for yourself. No one else can. But for me, it's also like, I am a mother, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm a Black woman. I have to wear all these different hats, and I feel like each hat represents something different. So by making this one decision can affect all of these other responsibilities that I have and all of these people that are relying on me. So I need to be very cautious about any decisions that I make in any area. Because yes, I have to live with this, but then it's like, my son has to live with this too. My husband has to live with this too. So before I take this step of me wanting to trust you, you got to prove to me, because you're asking me to trust you. You asking me to take this thing that has a needle on it and place it in my body. Okay, well, what does that mean now, right? And who knows what's going to happen? Like I said, you're not going to be able to go back and take it back out. So now I have to make sure that by me trusting you, all of these other responsibilities that I have is trusting you as well. So it's very important for me to remember all of that and, ask the right questions. And I do believe that autonomy is a really big component of it. Even just the word autonomy itself, I feel like we don't even use it enough. I don't feel like people even give people the respect enough to use that word, especially with that whole, I just love this commercial. I want to go find this commercial. Like, oh, you are ruining America because you won't get vaccinated. It's crazy to me. You just literally took the autonomy from somebody just with that advertisement. And then you make them feel guilty about it. That's crazy to me. But I think, just going back to the question, I think that my strength comes from the people that, and I point behind me because, I have to be forefront to make the decision. I think about them, and I have to make sure that I'm doing what's best for me so that I can be what's best for them.